Dan Shonka, ourlads.com. Dan, it's a busy day for you, right? I mean, just a slow day, right?
Yeah, it's I tell you, it's getting closer all the time. And after a year of studying these guys, it'd be fun to see where they go. And I'm sure all these players are excited to see what emblem they'll have on their shirt this next year. And hey, it's free agents too, and all that. So, but anyway, yeah, it's an exciting time.
Dan, you have Baker Mayfield as your number one quarterback, and the word is today that it looks like Baker Mayfield may be in a possibility of Cleveland, may take him there at number one.
Yeah, he's in the mix. That's for sure. I got some friends that, are saying that, and Baker's one of, I think, of about 3 or 4 guys are considering it number one up there. And, I tell you, his accuracy is on back. I was just talking to Baker's agent here a little bit ago, and they're hearing the same. They said he's not going to last long. They don't know if he's going to Cleveland, but they said they don't feel like it's going to be a long wait for him.
How big of a gap is it when you're evaluating from Baker Mayfield, and I believe your next guy, when I'm looking on your list here in the book, Josh Rosen, how big of a gap is it between those two guys?
Well, I don't think it's huge in some respects in regards to the things that we look at, Ryan, the accuracy and decision making and the processing. I think Baker's, he's up there a little bit more higher than Rosen, and then Rosen's down a little bit. And then I think those two guys separate themselves from the others in regards to the processing of the information, their accuracy, the way their feet are always set. I mean, they're always in a great athletic posture throwing the ball. They're not, I was quoted a couple times on a couple other prospects, their feet are like, cows on ice, they're all over the place. And you can't have that because that cuts down from your accuracy. And the worst thing is you can say you can coach the guys, but the thing is when everything starts happening around you, you kind of revert to what you are. And so now your feet are like on ice again, and instead of being right underneath you because, you've been schooled for so long in fundamentals and you can't just do that overnight. A lot of guys try to change their arm slots and stuff like that to throw, and it really doesn't work out well. Some you can. Now, Aaron Rodgers did a little change when he came out, and obviously we see what he's all about. And but generally, it's pretty tough to change. You are what you are.
You've got Calvin Ridley as your number one wide receiver. You rated him a 9.25. You've got a great breakdown if people want to go out and subscribe to the magazine, get this thing, ourlads.com. We're talking with Dan Shonka. Do you feel like Calvin Ridley, where do you think would be a good range that you think he will go in this first round?
I think from anywhere from 16. I don't know if he'll go earlier than Baltimore, but we kind of, are looking at that. It might be, that Baltimore, Dallas area that's fairly, I think a lot of people think that, since Dallas is probably looking for another big-time speed receiver since they lost Des Bryant, and, or they certainly need a guy, although they brought in Crabtree to Baltimore and things. But, I think that's an area, of course, with Ozzy's ties with Alabama. I think that, that's a realistic possibility there. And the bottom end of it, gee whiz, I'll tell you, what happens is after all these quarterbacks get sorted out and people are going to be screaming for the offensive tackles, and there's not a lot of those guys out there. So some of those guys that disappear, the linebackers that disappear, which are, a lot of good things. I mean, of course, I think Minkah's going to be long gone by then. Harrison's going to be, I think, in the mix in that later in the first round area. Maybe he'll go a second, but hey, doesn't matter. Just as long as wherever you go, he's going to start. I know that because he's a terrific player. So, but I would say from, 16 through 20, 25, somewhere in there.
You think and I've asked you this before, but there's a lot of talk here, and a lot of people will call in, and I don't even know how to answer this question. You think playing in this system in Tuscaloosa with a lack of passing attack, and I know Jalen struggled with sort of getting that cranked up, or Alabama as a whole. You think that cost Calvin Ridley a few picks?
Well, I don't know, because the thing he does, well, if you're just talking about numbers, I mean, maybe to overwhelm somebody like, say, for instance, he caught 100 and some passes and stuff like, the guys do in the spread offenses. I think that it's kind of a trade-off because, the Alabama's pro-style offense probably gets him ready earlier than a spread offense because he does different things. He runs pro-style routes and runs a variety of routes, the route trees and things like that, which they don't really do that in spread form. So it's kind of a trade-off. He might not have the numbers, but he's got, the aptitude and the nuance of a pro-style receiver. So I guess that's your trade-off. And as you know, with coaches lacking the time to spend with these guys because of the collective bargaining agreement, the more they can do and they're taught in college, better off they are when they get on an NFL team. So I would say it probably didn't hurt him. The only thing that probably hurt him is if Jalen would have been a little more accurate.
Dan, when we go to the free safety side, you've got Minkah Fitzpatrick, Ronnie Harrison back-to-back. Minkah Fitzpatrick, where do you see a range for Minkah?
Gee whiz, I tell you, we have him, I think, in our deal, I think we got him ranked about third, something like that, player in this draft or somewhere up there in the top. And I think that, I think the bottom for him would probably be Tampa at 7. And it just depends on a team if they're thinking that, hey, is he going to play corner for us? Is he going to be our safety? Because he was actually our top corner and our top safety. And then since we had this, kind of pick one spot for him, we picked safety because we heard Coach Saban before talk about his ability to move and he aligned different places, and he thought he'd be best to line up as a safety. And so we kind of moved him into the safety slot. And then, but it depends, there's 32 teams out there that may say, hey, he's really going to be better at corner for us. So, he may go up, probably. I think the bottom might be 7, but it all depends on these quarterbacks. Again, I mean, hey, we saw it happen to Jonathan Allen last year. I mean, he was one of our top guys, and he dropped to 17, and I'm still in shock about that one.
So you think Minkah Fitzpatrick's going out of the first 10 picks? You think he's out of there?
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
How about Payne? Where do you think he will fit in?
I think then you're talking about the next group of guys that I think that he's going to be in that, let's say when our new mock draft we're going to have up here, we got him slotted going at 17 to the Chargers. They need a interior defensive lineman. So I guess I'm going to say, from somewhere like 15 to 20 or 15 to 25, somewhere in there. But we got him at 17 right now.
And Rashaan Evans, no doubt, a first-round guy, you think?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to be in we got him now at 25, going into Tennessee. I tell you what, I tell you what, I must have had a brain snap on it because I had him graded actually lower than my report reads and in our guide, and he's actually, he's a first-round guy all day long.
Dan, as we go to other guys, I was looking back at your sports index, school index. You got all these Alabama guys. I mean, we said, and I know we spend a lot of time talking about the first-rounders, but, man, there's a lot of talent coming from Alabama. You talk about, a guy like J.K. Scott, a punter, Levi Wallace, Anthony Averett, Tony Brown. I mean, Robert Foster's another guy that you've got a great report on. Deshaun Hand. I mean, Alabama may put another double-digit total in this NFL draft, top to bottom.
Yeah, I really believe that. And the guy that we put as a free agent like Ossenauer, I know some teams that like him that might draft him late, and, of course, Hootie Jones was injured and everything this year, but part of the year anyway, but really like him. It wouldn't shock me if he's drafted. And, of course, J.K. Scott's one of the top punters in the country, and we've got an expert that does our kickers along with I see everybody, but we also have position guys that I have looked at them, and I cross-check them and then go from there. But the guys really like J.K. Scott too, like I said, as a punter. So Levi Wallace, I know he's slender, but he's going to get an opportunity somewhere to play. Bozeman, center, he's going to probably get drafted somewhere. So, yeah, you're right. It could very well. 10 guys could. Josh Frazier, could get drafted. Obviously, Deshaun Hamilton is going to be in that mix. Deshaun Hand, so there's going to be all kinds of guys. It could easily be a 10 draft day draft, I should say, for the Tide.
What would be the ceiling for J.K. Scott with a pick?
I probably don't have him as high as maybe some NFL teams, but because I know that some teams like him, like in the 5th round. And maybe I've even heard some have him in the late 4th. So that's what I'm going to say, somewhere there, late 4th, 5th round area.
Well, Dan, I'll say this. Let me just add to it, and then I'll let you go. I don't think Alabama would have won a national title without J.K. Scott. I mean, he was truly a difference maker. When an offense struggled and could not move the football, he sort of made up that gap with this 60 or 70-yard punt. I mean, it was incredible to watch this guy flip the field.
Yeah, I tell you what, he could boom it. So, hey, that's great, Ryan. And hey, I'm glad you're able to give out some of the guides there and give one away. I think the fans will like those. And but anyway, happy to be with you again. And,
thank you, Dan.
Enjoy those guides.
Thank you, Dan, and appreciate all the draft coverage. I'll encourage people to go to ourlads.com. Dan Shonka, one of the veterans. I appreciate you, Dan. I hope you have a great day.
You too, Ryan. Thank you.